Hi everyone, welcome back to the Navigant Credit Union Broadcast Center. I'm GoLocal News editor Kate Nagel. Thanks for popping back in for a special pop-up live with General Treasurer Seth Magaziner. Thank you for coming in today.
Thanks for having me. Good to be back.
I appreciate it. Congratulations on the recent nuptials.
Thank you very much.
I know you've been a busy guy. And let's talk a little bit about what's been taking place with the office, and let's talk about performance. July surpassing benchmarks.
Sure. So everybody who spends their lives serving the community, whether it is as a teacher or as a first responder or a state employee, deserves retirement security. And taxpayers deserve to know that the system is being managed well also, because the taxpayers do the bulk of the funding. The good news is that performance has been strong. We've earned over $1 billion under our Back to Basics investment plan. We just, in the last fiscal year, just beat our target for the second year in a row. July was another good month, so we're doing well. We're doing well, and it's important for the people who are in the system to have that retirement security, and it's important for the taxpayers as well.
So let's talk a little bit about the portfolio, if you will. Obviously, your office had made a big push to get out of some of the more controversial elements, including hedge funds. And of course, the market has been continuing to chug along at quite the rate. If we're to see a downturn, if we're to see a recession, and we don't have those hedges in there, how is Rhode Island positioned if in the coming months or years we do see a turn of the market?
That's a great question, because you're right. We made big changes with the Back to Basics investment plan, including getting out of most of the hedge funds that were in the portfolio when I took office. We believed it was the right thing to do because not only were those funds not performing well, but the fees were also very high. And that being said, just because we have gotten out of all those hedge funds doesn't mean that we're not planning for years when the market will be soft. We know that we're now in, year 9 of an economic recovery. The market's not going to go up every year. And so the conclusion that we came to, though, was that there were other ways to defend ourselves against a market downturn than hedge funds. Mm-hmm. Different kinds of bonds, fixed income, that sort of thing. So when you look at how we invest compared to most other state pension plans, we're still a little more conservative. We still have a little less risk on the table, a little less tied to the stock market than your average state pension plan. We're still conservative. We know that not every year is going to be a good year, so we're defensively positioned. But we can do that without the high-cost hedge funds that we've gotten out of.
So let's talk a little bit about investments. Let's talk about the school bond. But before we get to that, are you comfortable with the level of bonded indebtedness the state is currently facing?
That's a good question. So last year we put out a debt affordability study. This was the first time that Rhode Island had taken a really hard look at our level of borrowing since the 1990s. Rhode Island had not done a debt affordability study since the late 90s, which is crazy. So we put out a really in-depth debt affordability study report last year. If you ever are having trouble sleeping and you want to read 120 pages of information about state debt in Rhode Island, I recommend it.
Did you do state and municipal as well?
We did state, municipal, and the quasi-publics also, so all of it. And what we found is that Rhode Island is more heavily indebted than most states, but we've actually come down quite a bit over the last couple decades.
Okay.
And so we can project out at what our capacity is in the future, and we have some capacity. We estimate that Rhode Island has the capacity to issue about $1.5 billion of new bonds over the next 10 years.
Okay.
Now, when we do that, our overall level of indebtedness will actually come down because we would be issuing new bonds slower than we would be paying off the old ones.
Okay.
So
are the politicians aware of this?
Yeah. So when you talk about the school bond, which we have to do, we have to fix these school buildings. They're falling apart. It's unsafe. It's unfair to our kids. The school bond that's on the ballot this year is $250 million, which compared to the $1.4 billion of capacity that we have over the next 10 years is affordable. So this is an affordable investment. We got to do it because every kid deserves to go to a school that is safe and warm and dry, and we finally have a plan to make that happen.
And do you think municipalities, Seth, are cognizant of their indebtedness levels, and voters and residents are as well?
Well, we're trying to educate them. We're trying to get the word out. So The affordability study that we put out last year had a profile on the debt of every city in town. And, you know, it's a mixed bag, right? There were some cities that were above what we would recommend as the limit, but there were a lot of communities that were not. And so we put the information out there. We've also been delivering a series of educational sessions for cities and towns on debt management. We've had a couple already. We've got another one coming up next month. Again, to help educate them so that they can make prudent decisions. And you know, that's I think the best role that we can play from the Treasurer's Office is to disseminate this information and to educate people.
Okay, you talk about the debt affordability study. Let's tack to reporting. The General Treasurer's Office just got some national recognition.
Yeah.
So tell us a little bit about that.
Well, so transparency is one of my priorities. It has been since day one. The very first thing that I worked on when I was elected actually was our transparent treasury policy, where we now only invest pension money with managers that let us publish their performance and all of their fees on our website. That had never been done before, and we were actually the first state in the country to require that. Last month, we received another recognition from GFOA, the Certificate of Excellence for Public Reporting, basically saying that we have high quality financial statements for the pension fund. Again, if you're having a hard time falling asleep and you want some really boring reading, you can go online and find the financial statements for the pension fund. But I actually think, you know, this is a good thing for those public employees in the pension system and for the taxpayers to know that we're receiving national recognition for the quality of our financial reporting and ultimately our transparency. This is the people's money, it's the public's money, so they have a right to know how it's doing.
Let's get a little local here. Last week, in light of the unfortunate circumstances of the death of a student here in Providence, the office has some resources for schools and families and students who might have been impacted by this. Talk with us a little bit about the treasurer's role in being able to provide some financial support for the most in need.
Yeah, this was a real tragedy, of course. Young man, all reporting is that he was an innocent bystander. He had nothing to do with the altercation that led to the death. Not only is that difficult for that young man's family, but you know, this was occurring in the middle of 3 high schools at a time when school was getting out, and there were a lot of young people, minors, who witnessed the event. About a year ago, we passed legislation that allows us to assist minors who witness a homicide through our Crime Victims Compensation Fund.
Okay.
We will cover counseling expenses up to $1,500 for an individual 18 or under who witnesses a homicide. Now, of course, when we did this last year, we didn't and couldn't have envisioned something as horrific as what occurred last week, but these resources are available. So what I would say to anyone, and we've been trying to get the word out, so thank you for the opportunity, teachers, family members, reach out to our office, the Treasurer's Office, about the Crime Victims Compensation Fund. We do have funding available for children who may have witnessed that event.
Okay, very good. And speaking of local, give us a little update on where things are at with the local banking initiative.
That's great. So this is my favorite one. For your viewers who don't remember from the last time we talked about this, we have been moving the state's cash, state money, back home to local banks and local credit unions. Small business really is the backbone of Rhode Island's economy. I know that's cliche, but it's true, right? More than 90% of the businesses in Rhode Island are small businesses. About half of our private sector workforce is employed by small businesses. And there are a lot of entrepreneurs that have the talent and the skill and the desire to expand and hire more people. But sometimes they have a hard time getting the access to the capital. They have a hard time getting loans. And the research shows that small businesses are 3 times as likely to have their loan applications approved by a community bank or a credit union. Mm-hmm. So by moving the state's cash to those local lending institutions, we're helping the local economy, helping small businesses. We've been partnering with 8 credit unions and community banks so far, and we've supported more than 200 small businesses and helped them get loans. So this is something that I think can really become a model across the country, you know, taking our money, taxpayer money, and bring it back home to help the local economy.
And I know we've talked about this before, the capacity for the program to expand.
Yeah, so we've moved about $20 million so far. Our investment committee has authorized $30 million, so we've got some more runway there. And we're going to explore ways to expand it further. You know, we've got to be careful. Obviously, this is the state's money, and so we're only going to work with institutions that are sound and have strong balance sheets and so on. But so far, it's been very successful, and we do have some more room to grow.
Excellent. And finally, another announcement that just came out of the Treasurer's office is increased technology, if you will, automated services for unclaimed property.
Yeah, so this is missing money. This is getting people their missing money back. When I took off, and just so again so your viewers know, if a company owes you money but doesn't know how to find you, maybe it's a bank or a utility company, an insurance company, if they owe you money but they don't know how to find you, maybe because you've moved or because their data for you and their system was incorrect, they're not allowed to just keep your money. Otherwise, they would have no incentive to try to find you, right? They're required to turn it over to our office, and it's our job to reunite people with that lost money. When I started, this was done in a very old-fashioned way. We would run an ad in the newspaper once a year telling people to look up the unclaimed property list. We would literally send people to like the beach and the farmer's market and put up a tent and wait for people to walk by and see if
That's literally like ledger sheets.
Yeah, this is not even like a 20th century. This is like a 19th century method. And so we said there's got to be a better way. So we launched a system last year that now allows us to take our unclaimed property database, match it against other databases around state government so that we can find people proactively and get them their missing money back. And we're only the second state in the country to do this. It's been wildly successful. Since we launched about a year ago, we've reunited more than 50,000 people in Rhode Island with their missing money. The average check size was $250. So, you know, for a family on a tight budget or a senior citizen on a fixed income, that's a big deal. 50,000 people in the last year, that's more than 4 times the previous record for Rhode Island reuniting people with their missing money. So that being said, even if you didn't get a check from us, even if there wasn't a check in the mailbox over the last year, it's still a good idea to go on our website and check to see if you have any unclaimed property. The website is findrimoney.com, and because we're not going to send those checks out unless we're very sure that they're going to the right place. So we were able to get those checks out to a lot of people, but we still have more in our system. So go online, findrimoney.com, and you know, you never know. It could be, you know, a couple dollars, or it could be hundreds or even thousands of dollars. And this is your money. It's not the state's. It belongs to you. So check it out.
So we've run through a litany of recent updates from the office. We're here now in September, looking towards a general election as you are looking towards re-election. What's the unfinished business? If you are to be re-elected, what is the second term?
Yeah.
What are you looking to accomplish?
My priority has always been finding ways to use the office to help the local economy. You know, we've done that with the Bank Local program. We've done that by pushing the school construction plan. And so that's going to continue to be my priority going forward. I think we've made progress as a state. We've had some economic recovery, 20,000 jobs in the last 4 years. That's great. But we're not there yet. We're not there yet until the recovery really reaches all Rhode Islanders. So I think we've shown over the last 4 years that there are creative ways to use the Treasurer's office to help the economy here at home. That will continue to be my priority going forward.
Now, I do believe you have a challenger who's been saying in certain circles that if he had the pension fund invested on his end, he could have done better. Yeah. What do you have to say to that?
Well, look, it's always easy to say that you could do better. Our record is out there. We earned over $1 billion since I launched the Back to Basics program, $1 billion for the pension fund. We've beaten our target 2 years in a row. Our performance compared to other state pension funds is improving. So our numbers are out there, they're real, we're delivering, and I think people know that the pension system is getting healthier under our watch.
Anything else you want to share with viewers while we have you here in studio?
No, just that it's an honor to serve. We're going to continue working hard for the people of Rhode Island, and I appreciate the chance to give an update on what we've been doing.
Well, I appreciate your coming in after a very lengthy week here with primaries on Wednesday and a show on here on Friday, but wanted the special pop-up here in the afternoon. So, General Treasurer Seth Magaziner, thanks so much for coming in.
Thanks,
and that
Kate.
now does actually officially wrap up Go Local Live here at the Navigant Credit Union Broadcast Center for the week. Be sure to stay tuned to GoLocalProv.com and find us on Facebook over the weekend. And Josh Fenton will see you Monday afternoon back here at 3 o'clock for Business Monday. I'm GoLocal News Editor Kate Nagel.